you for your participation. Before we get started, we'd like to provide a few helpful hints for making this a productive STEMinar for everyone. During the STEMinar, we ask that you mute your phone or computer microphone, and you can do this by clicking on the microphone symbol to the right of your name. You have been muted as you joined the STEMinar. If you have a concern or technical issue, please use the chat function or send an email to me, adeck@iteea.org. To make the screen larger or smaller, use the plus or minus symbol at the left of the screen, and to make it full screen, use the diagonal double arrow. For questions for our presenters, you can submit a chat comment or email to adeck@iteea.org. Questions will be addressed in the order they are received during the presentation and the Q&A portion of the STEMinar. If you're using the chat function, please select Everyone so your question or comment is visible. Please note that there will be a slight break in the voice feed between each transaction. The presenters for today's STEMinar are Dr. Trevor Robinson, Benjamin Applegate, and Jackson Otto. Trevor Robinson is currently a professional practice assistant professor in the School of Applied Sciences, Technology, and Education at Utah State University, Brigham City. At USU, Trevor teaches in the Technology Systems and Technology and Engineering Education programs, preparing general, technologists, and teachers. He teaches courses related to materials and processes, electronics, energy, power, transportation, curriculum development, and action research. Trevor earned his Bachelor of Science in Technology Education from Ohio Northern University. He went on to complete his graduate work at Utah State University, earning his Master's in Engineering and Technology Education and his PhD in Education with a specialization in Curriculum and Instruction, emphasizing in Technology and Engineering Education. Trevor participated in the 21st Century Leadership Academy through ITEEA during the 2017-2018 class. Since he was a graduate student, Trevor has been involved with the Technology and Engineering Education Collegiate Association, TEECA. He currently serves as the chapter advisor for USU. Trevor has served as a competitor event author or coordinator for the past 6 years. During the 2016-2017 school year, he served as the National Competitive Events Coordinator. And over the past 2 school years, Trevor served as the National Advisor for TEECA. Benjamin Applegate is from Gilmore City, Iowa, and currently attending the University of Northern Iowa, majoring in Industrial Technology and Engineering Education with a minor in coaching. Benjamin is the current National TEECA reporter and the UNI TEECA chapter president. Benjamin will graduate in May 2019 and is looking forward to applying all that he has learned in his education and at ITEEA conferences in his classroom to best educate students. He enjoys creating various woodworking projects in his free time and restoring antique tractors, gas engines, and cars. Benjamin also enjoys watching and playing sports. He can be seen cheering on his UNI Panthers, St. Louis Cardinals, the Miami Heat, or the San Francisco 49ers. Jackson Otto is currently a junior at Purdue University, studying engineering technology teacher education with minors in organizational leadership, design and innovation, and global studies. He's been an active member of both ITEEA and TEECA over the past 3 years, also acting as the Purdue TEECA chapter vice president and currently serving as the president-elect for the National Student Executive Board. Outside of TEECA, Jackson is heavily involved on Purdue's campus, in the Sigma Tau Gamma fraternity, Purdue University Dance Marathon, and the Purdue Old Masters program. With the limited free time he has, he enjoys spending time outdoors, hanging out with friends, and organizing his planner. And at this time, I'm going to turn over control of the STEMinar to Dr. Robinson for our presentation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the seminar. We are glad to be here, and hopefully you find it informative and enjoy learning a little bit more about TEECA and the competitions that we have coming up this year. I just wanted to start by saying, hopefully, if you're not familiar with TEECA, you can learn a little bit more and learn from our officers as they present this presentation today. We have Ben and Jackson presenting for us most of the time today, but I'd also like to thank our other officers who may be watching, but who were involved in putting this together and helping plan some of the competitions. And our current national president is Samantha Morzitz from the College of New Jersey. We also have our current vice president, Sarah Smithart from the University of Northern Iowa, and our secretary, Luke John from Millersville University, along with Ben, our reporter, and Jackson, our president-elect, and will become president at the end of the conference this year in March. At this point, that's all I have to say, and I will turn it over to Jackson, who will begin the presentation, tell you a little bit more about TEECA, and Jackson and Ben will take turns telling you about our competitions this year.
Yes, awesome. Thank you very much. As I was introduced, my name is Jackson Otto. I am the current president-elect for TEECA. And so what we kind of want to start with is, for those who may not know what TEECA is, basically we are an affiliation with ITEA. We are a professional development and networking organization, primarily for students in engineering and technology education majors. It says primarily for all those majors simply because we do not discriminate against any specific major, and we have many other mechanical engineering, engineering technology majors. Anyone can be a part of our organization, and we invite them as well. We aim to promote engineering education in society by hosting multiple regional conferences in the fall and one national conference in the spring. Like Trevor just mentioned, the national conference is coming up pretty soon, and we're very excited. We've been working hard to get all the competitions ready, and we're excited to see what everyone comes up with in the next few months. These conferences, co-hosted by our parent organization, ITEA, are home to numerous professional speakers on different topics concerning our field, as well as multiple challenges that are put on by TEECA in order to motivate students and allow them to present their work and knowledge. And you can find more information at www.teeka.org, or you can, if you have time, you can find yourself at our national conference in the next few weeks. And from there, Benjamin is going to talk about a little bit why we are a part of TEECA and why we think other people should get involved as well.
Hi, TEECA. So TEECA provides many professional development opportunities, whether that be at conferences, just meeting with other organizations from colleges all across the nation. Like right here, Jackson and I got to work together this summer, and he's from Purdue, so just being able to communicate with people from throughout the United States is great in terms of like getting things to further like develop your education. And
Benjamin, I'm sorry, but could you speak up? We cannot hear you.
Yep, I can. See how that works. All right. So, like I said, there's tons of professional development opportunities within TEECA. Just being able to communicate.
Hey, Benjamin, can I pause you just for a second? If you go up to your audio, you might want to look at that and increase the volume on your mic in that audio app. Pull down. If you click on audio, you'll see Your mic's there, and you can pull it to the right. Thank you.
How's that work?
Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
All right. Sorry about that. So along with TEECA, it gives you the ability to get involved at a higher level. So just in college here, at least for me at UNI, I was able to get involved with our organization, help out, just be involved with more people within our major. I literally know every single person in our major personally now because of the organization. I'm sure Jackson can attest to that as well at Purdue. It also gives you the ability of recruitment and retention for our field of study. So it will give you like further information about the field of industrial technology throughout the entire United States, and it just gives you like updated information as well. Personal experience, I've had tons of great personal experiences, whether it be meeting new people, making new connections with people in the field, and just furthering my education throughout the organization. And it also builds up students to succeed in the future. So I would say without TEECA, I might not be where I am today in terms of looking for a job here this May, and it's just been a great time. Kind of glad for everything that TEECA has done for me and ITA as well.
Yeah, and so with that, we've been talking a lot about these competitions and how they're kind of one of the more exciting and more engaging parts of our organization. And just for a little background, there are two kind of main types of competitions. One's where everything is completed beforehand, before the national conference, and you just bring your final product to present to the judges, along with a lot of documentation involved. And there are also ones where parts or some of it is completed, but for the most part, you finish everything while you're at the competition. And there's a list of the two down there, pre-made challenges consisting of communications, educational display, teaching lesson, transportation, and graphic design. And then the on-site or the hybrid challenges, we like to call them, are manufacturing, problem-solving, robotics, and technology. And so right now we're going to go through and kind of talk a little bit about each of those competitions, who organized them this year, and what the challenge is really this year for all of our students. And while we're going through this, if you have any questions, you feel free to put them in the chat, or if there's a lull in us talking, go ahead and ask, and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. And so with that, we're going to get started with the communications challenge. It's basically a digital media challenge where you create a short video describing the prompt given. This is the first one of our pre-made challenges, and you basically go through the entire design process of creating a storyboard for a video, making sure that you film it and edit it entirely before the competition, and then at the national conference, we'll present them to everyone, and then the judges will be able to vote on the best one, and the winner will be crowned. Specifically for this year, the 2019 Communications Challenge, the coordinator was Daniel Bates from NC State, and the authors were Emily Roosh from Weber Innovation Center. And as you can see, the theme this year is to produce a movie trailer that resembles a traditional movie genre. This is a very general theme, which we like to keep it general because we want to see the creativity that our students can bring to this challenge. And so we want to make sure that we don't hinder them by saying you have to complete X, Y, and Z deliverable in order to help them feel as creative as possible. And there are the due dates for anyone who may be involved. So the next challenge is the Educational Display Challenge, which is basically just giving a presentation on a broad topic, but you can focus in and really create a presentation of whatever you want. It can be fully creative as long as it presents the information that you want to. So as you can see in this picture right here, these students created sort of an iPhone-looking display in order to talk about how technology was used in a modern society and education. And so you have full reign on how you want to present your information, but it must include a physical, sort of a poster board style presentation material. But you're allowed to supplement it with portfolios, binders, whatever you may want, as long as you have that main poster board. And then this year, the 2019 Educational Display Challenge, the coordinator is Lindsay Swaggerty from University of Arkansas. The theme is this year's educational display topic focuses on quality STEM or TEED teaching, and she would like for you to share a lesson or unit you developed and taught that you consider to be of exemplary teaching. This one is very interesting because it really focuses in on obviously the lesson plans behind our major. And in previous years, it's been a lot about how to incorporate technology into education, but this one is just going forward from what you've already developed in the past. And it'll be a great learning experience for not only any spectators there, but the other students presenting, as they can go around and see different lessons or units that people have developed in our field, so that we can kind of brainstorm with each other and use them in the future. And there are there are the deadlines for them as well. The way they're presented is it's kind of like a science fair setting where everyone is set up in one general area and you're able to walk around and kind of see all the different displays and what they've been working on.
So then our next challenge is the manufacturing challenge. This one is an in-event build competition, but there is some pre-produced jigs and fixtures that you'll have to make in order to come to the competition. But most of the hands-on aspect of the event is done at the conference. So then this year's competition was coordinated by Eric Denault from Fort Hays State University. And this year's challenge is design a promotional item for a technology education program that is small enough to fit on a teacher's desk. Teams must go through proper documentation process and create a portfolio to detail the development of their product. So no sub-assemblies are allowed prior to the manufacturing run. So that means like you can't have anything like assembled before you get to the competition, but you can have your jigs and fixtures made prior to the competition. But all materials can be prepped for quick assembly. So like cut, like size down, maybe pre-sanded. And all these can be more information. All these can be found in the competition guides and challenge books that are available on our website as well.
The next challenge is the problem-solving challenge. This one is usually the most broad and generalized challenge, utilizing multiple different skills. That's where all of our engineering majors, technology majors can come in and help a lot. But basically, each team is presented a problem and they must create a solution. It's very simple, but it usually takes realistic problems and incorporates many aspects of technology. And each year, you have to completely develop your product, your solution to the issue before the national conference. But then at the conference, there's usually a twist given. So for instance, last year, you had to make a solar panel that tracked the sun. And so you would use like a flashlight to mimic the sun or whatnot. But then at the event, you had to alter it and add an indicator for when it was able to detect the sun, or if the sun was down, it was nighttime, an indicator would go off saying that the solar panel is turned off. But this year's competition is the coordinator is Steve Shumway from Brigham Young University. The author was Emily Roosh from Weber Innovation Center, and the judge will be Doug Livingston from Utah CTE. And the theme is an automated parking lot for Kansas City visitors. So finding downtown parking can be a challenge in any city, and Kansas City is no exception. In an effort to address their downtown parking problem and develop parking lots that require minimal supervision, the city has commissioned your team to develop a new automated parking system. Specifically, your team of engineers who have been asked to design a model of this system that is to be presented to city planners for approval. The design criteria and constraints for the model can be found in the next section. The model should simulate all functions of the parking garage, including instructions for patrons on how to use the parking lot. The city also wants some sort of advertisement, whether it be street signs or billboards, advertising this new parking lot. So that's a pretty lengthy description, but it doesn't really get into the constraints of the project. And so, for instance, I know that this year you have to basically have a system that can hold up to at least 15 cars It must have a counter on the outside that says how many spots are left, or if the parking lot is full, an indicator has to go off saying that there's no spots left. You have to be able to have a simple system of checking in your car and then easily checking it out, so within a timely manner, so you don't have to wait a long time for it to get through a long track or anything like that. And there's just a lot of documentation and research that goes into it, and it'll be very exciting to see what teams come up with at the very end, because there's always a very broad, very diverse selection of solutions that have come up with. So that's the problem-solving challenge.
So then our next challenge is the Robotics challenge, and this is the following VexU game and rules, which this year it's Turning Point. All robots have to be 24 inches by 24 inches by 24 inches, so what that means is 24 wide, 24 depth, 24 inches tall. It incorporates many different types of technologies, and schools, high schools and universities often have VEX teams. So then this year's challenge, going into a little bit more, is VEX Turning Point. And the coordinator this year is Trevor Robinson from Utah State University, and the author is Steve Williams, also from Utah State University. So this year, students will aim to build the most innovative robotics possible and work together to obtain the most points possible. In addition to just having a great time in building amazing robots, through their participation in the VEX robotics competition and their work within their team, students will learn many academic and life skills. So on the right side, you can kind of see a concept of what the course looks like this year. Looks like, and Dr. Robinson, you know a little more about this one, obviously. If you want to explain some of the scoring, maybe.
So with this one, just to back up a little bit, yes, we are using VexU rules. However, if you are familiar with VexU rules, normally VexU teams have 2 robots, one larger and one smaller. But for the TEECA challenge, we are limiting each university to 1 robot, but we are allowing you to use the larger robot size and allowing you to use more than just VEX parts. You're able to manufacture, 3D print any components that you may want in addition to the VEX components. Again, all those rules are on our TEECA webpage. There's multiple points or challenges to this event this year. You can see in the back there's a net with little plastic cards, if you will. Turning that one direction and having your color, blue or red, showing gives you some points. And then stacking those goals, those discs that you see flying on the field, stacking those on those little pieces or the little balls as well. Also, there's an autonomous period where your robots are pre-programmed. There are 45 seconds of autonomous, and whoever wins that, whichever team wins that, gets a point bonus. And then there's 35 seconds of driver control, and we'll add up all the points at the end, and the winning team will move on. Well, in the tournament, there, as always, there's going to be qualification rounds to seat each team, and then there is a single elimination tournament with all the teams. That the single elimination tournament, each round is the best 2 out of 3. However, this year, what we are there is one change. We are not doing a design notebook. There's no design notebook required, and it's solely based on the tournament. So whoever the winning team of the tournament is the team that wins the robotics challenge, and second and third in there. So no judging needed this year. It's solely based on how well you do in the tournament.
So then just going back to the slide real quick, so as it says, registration is limited to 16 total teams at competition.
Then the next challenge is the teaching lesson, which each school is allowed 2 teachers and 1 assistant. And basically they mimic or simulate what a true classroom looks like. So each year a new topic is assigned, and this year the topic is just very general. It's the Grand Engineering Challenges. And so the coordinator is Tanner Huffman from the College of New Jersey. And basically, the TEECA teaching lesson competition evaluates how well an individual or pair of students plans and teaches others about a technological topic. And so I said it could be it's two teachers, but you could have just one individual teaching it depending on the size of your team or just what your overall goal is for the lesson. The topic is provided well in advance of the TEECA competition, and so as I said, this year it's the grand challenges of engineering, and basically you can take any of the challenges and really make a lesson out of them. The challenge is to develop a lesson plan that would last 45 minutes in a classroom setting, but for our purposes, you are only delivering a 15-minute segment of it, just because we don't have time for multiple teams to present a 45-minute lesson all in one day. So we have them cut it down a little bit to 15 minutes, and they're evaluated on items including their lesson plan, their student support material, lesson delivery, and post-lesson reflection. And so we allow other people to step in and watch the lessons that are given as well. Especially at regional competitions, a lot of times there's a good audience to watch them just to learn a little bit from them. At nationals, because there are so many different events going on and different speakers, we often limit the amount of people in the audience to just a few. But if you're interested, you can talk to one of us and we can see if you can get involved in that or be able to sit in on one of the lessons.
So another challenge we have is our technology challenge, and this one is fully on-site. I mean, you can review your general knowledge beforehand, but this is our quiz bowl. So what this is 4 representatives from each school come up, sit at a table with little buzzers, and when the question's read, they'll just buzz in and say the answer. If they're right, they get points. And I believe we're going back to if they're wrong, they're going to get deducted points. So yeah, every school, I mean, there's no preparation really. You just show up, bring 4 people up to a table, and test your knowledge on technology.
Okay. The next challenge is the transportation challenge, which, as you can probably imagine, it focuses on transportation technology. In the past few years, it's been focused on quadcopters and autonomous and teleoperated transportation processes. This year, it's similar, but there's a little bit of a new challenge to it. The coordinator is Corey Ortiz from Utah State University, and the author is Gary Stewartson from Utah State University. And as I said, there's a lot of autonomous involved. So this year, the theme is unmanned aerial vehicles. So students are going to have to develop a UAV capable of completing hazardous missions, which involve tight spaces, obstacles, and in some cases, moving obstructions. Using both remote piloting and autonomous programming to navigate a field of obstacles as quickly as possible. And they can program and use existing UAV. They program and use an existing UAV called the Parrot Mambo quadcopter. So last year we did a similar challenge, flying through and dodging obstacles, and it was very successful. A lot of teams got a lot out of it, so we decided to kind of keep it going and adapt it a little bit. But it's very exciting, especially with the autonomous portion, seeing how teams are able to program their quadcopters to get through the obstacles and see the differences between each team.
So then this year, our new challenge is our graphic design challenge, and this challenge is focused on the promotion of the event and organization. And this is a challenge that is going to be done in advance. So then if we go ahead, we'll kind of talk a little more about this since this one is new. So the coordinator is Trevor Robinson, and our authors were all of our national TEECA officers. So the event overview, the objective for the design production teams in the graphic design competition is to plan and produce a quality soft enamel lapel pin which reflects the location of the current year's TEECA national location. So this year's case would be Kansas City. This pin should be inspired by the city and incorporate the TEECA logo. Each year the graphic design challenge will be a means to advertise and commemorate the year's competitive events and TEECA affiliated schools' success. So this one, the challenge submission deadline, paperwork, and final design is the 24th of February. The judging will occur pre-conference, and the winner will be selected, and then pins will be ordered and available at the conference. So yeah, this one was one that kind of stemmed off a little competition we had last year with some of the chapters nationwide, just kind of creating a pin. But the officers this year decided to make it more of a competitive event challenge. Hopefully we can inspire some more people, because graphic design is part of the technology field, so incorporate it into our challenges as well.
Yeah, and so that's it for all of the challenges. As you can see, there's quite a few of them, and most teams compete in most of the challenges, depending on the size of their teams. But the reason people like to compete in a lot of them is because there is a national competitive events champion every year. So every year we have an overall champion who's crowned at the very end of the conference and they receive a $500 award. And there's a traveling trophy that is presented to them. And so last year, if I'm not mistaken, it was Brigham Young University. So hopefully hopefully we all do well, and we'll see who comes out on top this year. But yeah, so they currently have that trophy, and they'll be bringing it back to the nationals to give it to the next team, or they can possibly keep it if they do well again this year.
So if you're interested and want to get involved, so if you're interested in becoming an event coordinator, author, or judge, please email Trevor Robinson at the email shown below. And then if you're interested in becoming a national officer, so Jackson and I are both national officers, and at least in my case, I'm going off next year. Jackson will be coming back as the president, so there will be 4 new positions, I believe, open. So if you're interested in becoming national officer, you can visit the link and download the application. It's relatively simple, just a couple of forms, resume, and 2 letters of recommendation. That's all you need. You submit it to our National TEECA email, which is nationalteeka@gmail.com. And then the deadline for that is January 31st. So if you are interested, please let your advisor or one of us know, and then we can get you all the paperwork you need, and hopefully you can become an officer as well.
And along with that, if you are not currently a member of TEECA at all, we would love if you would like to join. So the membership link is as seen right there. And every student that joins ITEEA is automatically a member of TEECA. But TEECA chapters or TEECA schools must affiliate each year. So they can do that by going to that link there. Just go to that link, register as a student or a mentor, depending on which one you are. And then once you have an affiliated email, or once you have affiliated, email Trevor Robinson once again for general TEECA questions, or Scott Bartholomew for any competitive questions and registration. We are always looking to recruit new students and mentors who want to get involved and get involved in the next generation of technology engineering educators. So if you have any interest at all, please, again, if you have any questions, reach out to one of us or Trevor. And we'll be happy to talk to you about how you can get involved and what it means to get involved. And just, if we want to have as many people as possible, so please consider it. Yeah, that's all we have for this for our presentation. If there are any questions about the competitions or TEECA or in general, we'd be more than happy to talk about them.
Thank you. I'm going to take the control back and open up the question and answer session. If you have a question, please unmute your microphone and ask, or type it in the chat box. Please make sure you choose everyone so that everyone in the STEMinar can view it.
So we do have one question already. It asks, where does TEECA get the test item bank for Quiz Bowl? So actually, the event coordinator and authors and a couple other faculty members get together, and each year some of the questions carry over. and they write new questions, and they pull questions, or they write the questions themselves from the content areas related to the standards for technological literacy, and as well as pedagogy. So those questions are written by current practicing teachers and faculty members at universities, and we have judges at the competition who will listen to the student answers and see if they are acceptable for what the authors were looking for. So thank you for that question. Are there others?
Steve Barbado, nice job on the presentation. I think having this as an archive is going to be very helpful when people call in and ask questions about stuff. So thank you. My question is, in terms of producing some vignettes of samples of what this year looks like, is there an ability for maybe each of the different groups that does these events to try to capture some video and some vignettes to put together so that we would be able to share it? Oftentimes it's very hard to describe to folks out there in our field what these things actually look like on site, and it would be very helpful to do that. Just a question if you guys can handle that.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely can put the word out to all the schools to, record some small videos of them working prior to competition and during competition time. We just sent out our January newsletter, but we can throw it in on our February one, or we can make another announcement to all of our advisors, current chapters, and anyone affiliated with TEECA, and just ask them to help out and record some video of them working and bring competition.
That would be great. If you need it, if they want to send any of that stuff to ITEEA at iteea.org, we can gather that, and then we can try to edit that and put it up on your website and those kind of things, okay? Thanks.
Any other questions anybody has? Are there any questions about some of the specific competitions or the themes for this year?
I have a question for you that someone typed in. Do you have very many students that are commuters? Those folks that are off campus, how do they, do you see them being involved, or is it just mostly on campus?
Yeah, so, I mean, personally, speaking from Purdue's chapter, a lot of our members, we have a student teaching semester, our final semester here on campus. And so a lot of times they will be living, 40 minutes away, an hour away, depending what school district they're placed at. And a lot of times they do make the effort to commute here whenever we meet. Or if not, if they can't make it, if it's too far, if they can't make it for one meeting, we usually have a system where they will Skype in, or we'll call them and make sure they're up to date, make sure that they can get involved in any challenges that they want to. But for the most part, I'd say it is comprised of on-campus students who are still studying, not quite student teaching yet, just because it is easier to meet on a weekly basis if they're all here in one spot. But we do make the effort to make sure that even those off-campus students can be involved.
And to add to that, it really depends on the university or the college. I know at Utah State, we have more of a non-traditional students where a lot of our student population is already married and may have kids already. And so they are off campus, living on their own. And I know with the U.S. Youth Club specifically, we have, I would say about half of our students live off campus and come back for a weekly meeting and come back to prepare for events and practice and build or design or whatever. So it really just depends on the makeup of the university. And I think it's very easy, hopefully, at the other campuses for those non-traditional students or community students to get involved. And we definitely welcome them.
Yeah, going off what Jackson said, here at UNI we have a student teaching semester as well on our last semester. And whenever we have students that are involved with both, they tend to, because I was a little more spread out, so they're usually a couple hours away, if not more. So we just try to keep them updated, FaceTime, Skype, whatever we can, Zoom our meetings to them. And if they want, they can come back and help out in competitions. We try to meet with our competitive groups on the weekends, so if they do want to participate in a competition, we meet on like Saturday lunchtime or sometime during the day on Saturday or Sunday, so they have time to make it there and back on the same day or whatever the case may be.
All right, Jackson and Ben, I don't know if you saw the question in the chat. They're asking, do you feel your association with TEECA will increase your success with a student organization when teaching in the future? So, for example, do you think you'll run TSA teams or skills USA teams? Or how do you see TEECA benefiting you as far as student groups are concerned when you become teachers?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to impact me positively. TEECA, and especially ITEEA, are great for networking and getting to know all the professionals, and going to, at the national conference, going to these other seminars about getting involved within your school and within other student organizations is definitely something I'm interested in. And having these challenges, you can kind of take them and really apply the skills that we're using personally and within our teams, and be able to kind of show them and present them to our future students, and making sure that they are a part of a positive team atmosphere, and they're working together for these like TSA or Skills USA, for those types of organizations.
For me, I would say definitely would. I would definitely try to get students involved, like a TSA. I believe Iowa has a pretty good TSA competition in Des Moines every year. It was actually one that I didn't really know about coming into college, but now that I'm here, I know some of my former classmates are now like advisors in their high school for it, and then they definitely recommend it for all of us to do for whichever school we end up at. So yeah, being involved with TEECA and ITEA is definitely, it's opened my eyes to them as well, because like I said, I didn't know much about that until I got here. So I definitely would be trying to lead a student org TSA or something like that.
And I'll just add to that. I went through a traditional technology education program in my undergraduate, and we did not have a TEECA chapter. We would go to the ITA. Some of our students would go to the ITA conferences, but we never competed in any of the events. I didn't even know they existed until I became a grad student, and someone asked me to author one of them or coordinate one of them. And so once I graduated graduate school and I got my first teaching job at a university in the tech ed program, I made sure that I started a TEECA chapter and got students to compete in a couple of the competitions the first year. And I just left that school, and the school, USU, where I'm at now, they've had a TEECA chapter in the past, and it kind of disappeared for a little bit, and I was able to restart that a couple years ago, and took students to the conference and talked to the students. They enjoyed going to the conference and competing. So I'm glad I've been able to start a couple chapters and help students get involved and compete. And I just wish that I had one of those when I was an undergrad. So we have another question in the chat. Were you a member of a student organization in high school? At my high school, it wasn't until my senior year that the school started a Skills USA, and we wanted to compete, and I competed in some of the bachelor's in robotics. Uh, but I was involved in my technology club in high school where we went to the National Robotics Competition and competed in some robotics events there. So that was a lot of fun, and for me, that's really what got me wanting to go into teaching, especially technology and engineering education, was competing in those events at high school. Ben Jackson?
Yeah, I'm actually very, very much the same way. I was involved in a lot in high school, but the ones that pertain most to what I'm doing now was definitely, I was a part of a first robotics competition team. For those who know what that is, basically it's like you think of a Vex robot competition where, like we said, it's 24 inches cubed. The robots that I was building in high school were like 6 feet tall, like they were massive playing these games. And like Trevor just said, being involved in those organizations, that's kind of the reason I wanted to go into technology education. I originally wanted to be an electrical engineering major, but then I realized that it's not just, wiring random circuits and doing pneumatics and stuff like that. There's a lot more to it. And I realized I liked a lot about the mentorship process and how we would go and mentor younger schools or schools that had just started new first robotics teams, and being able to work with those other students, even though they were still my age. It was just a great experience to see how I could impact them and how they were able to get a lot out of not only the program, but our time together as a mentor and as a mentee.
For me, I'm from a very small high school here in Iowa. Graduating class was only like 30 students, so we didn't have a lot of opportunities for student orgs in our community. But the one that I was part of was like an ultimate mile per gallon car. And we would go all over the state and then surrounding states and kind of compete. And just be a matter of like building a car every year, finding donations, broadcasting it and everything. And that kind of made me interested more in the field itself. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have the high school large enough to have a lot of different student organizations, but the ones we did have, I definitely took advantage of when I was there.
Are there any other questions? If not, please join us for our next STEMinar on February 21st at 4 p.m. when our presenter will be Dr. Charlotte Holter of ITEEA's Elementary STEM Council. The title of this STEMinar is Inside Virginia Children's Engineering Convention 2019. Join Dr. Holter as she takes you inside this year's Virginia Children's Engineering Convention. The Children's Engineering Convention has three major components. One, staff development for K-5 teachers, focusing on strategies that assist children to create, use, and control technology. Two, teacher demonstrations of techniques for infusing design, engineering, and technology activities into the Virginia Standards of Learning. And three, a showcase of technology-based educational resources. We'd like to thank Dr. Robinson, Benjamin Applegate, and Jason Otto for sharing such an engaging presentation. We also wish to thank the attendees of the STEMinar for your participation. You will receive a follow-up email with the information for accessing this archived STEMinar. Good evening and goodbye.
Thank you, gentlemen.